As an entrepreneur, you create revenue and you start digging holes for yourself. And then you think you're gonna hire somebody and then you end up going, oh crap, I've gotta jump in that hole. And the way I've built scale and created breakthrough in my business is by building systems so that no matter who's in the hole, you can win. And so today's video is about that. Just what are the systems that I've used to grow and scale my business in 3 different areas, meaning sales, revenue generation, delivery, whether it's a product or a service, and then infrastructure, all the support around that business. As an entrepreneur, this game is hard and you have to reinvent yourself all the freaking time. Right now, you need this video, and if you want to create massive breakthrough, we're going to go through the step-by-step process to do so for your business. Okay, this is how you create breakthrough in the revenue generation portion of your business. Now, the very first thing to know is the market that you serve and the problems that you solve. So you wanna know what your market is and the problems that you solve. So the interesting thing about this is below $1 million, you have to get real clarity. Above $1 million, that shifts. And then above $10 million, it shifts again. And as an entrepreneur, what you need to do is continuously reinvent yourself. And in the revenue side, this is the #1 conversation to have, because what you need is an ideal client with a big enough problem that enough people want to buy your service or product. And this is a place that most entrepreneurs fail to reinvent every couple of revenue cycles. And so in this revenue conversation, these 3 things are really a marketing conversation. Who on your team is solving the problems for the clients and your customers, and what is the revenue potential of your particular business? A lot of people would call this TAM, your total addressable market. So in this space, you're looking at your TAM and understanding who my ideal client is and how I'm gonna go after them and how much money I can actually drive in revenue. As you're building your revenue engine, the next thing is who is on my team? What is the process of bringing an ideal client in and solving their problems? So you wanna diagram that process out in a step-by-step manner, meaning they raise their hand, they come in and they do a consultation and think about buying my service or a product, subscribing to my newsletter or my blog, whatever it is, right? What's your team sales process? The customer journey is what you're describing in this world. And then who on my team is actually gonna serve those particular customers? And I like to say in this process, I want my customers served exactly the way I want them served. But here's the challenge. When you're driving revenue and growing a team, how do you get all that information out of the business owner and transfer it to your team members? And this is a place that most entrepreneurs fail to diagram, fail to describe, fail to illustrate for their team, meaning you let your teammate do it however they want. And that's no good for driving revenue and scale. So in this revenue conversation, as you're iterating through breakthroughs in your business, you have to describe exactly who is on the team, who's doing the work, and then exactly how they're doing the work. And many people will create a customer journey, many people will create an employee journey. So there's a training process and there's a description of exactly what you have to do to be a customer and what it looks like for the customer, as well as like the messaging around that process. So message really matters in this process here, because you got to tell your customers what they need to know. You've got to tell your employees what they need to know. You need to almost describe step by step the process that somebody needs to come through in order to generate revenue for your business. So these are the marketing conversations and this is the sales conversations. That's what drives revenue. Now, the hard part about growing a business is when you're below $1 million in revenue, there's one way to go through this. And then when you cross $1 million, you've got to reinvent yourself and you got to do this all over again. And then when you're at a $10 million, you've got to reinvent yourself. And those are the obstacles that stand in your way for having great breakthroughs in your business, is this reinvention process. We're creatures of habit. We're human. And so humans want to keep doing the same thing over and over and over. And that just doesn't work when you're growing and scaling business. And so in the revenue conversation, you basically get to reinvent yourself and your business at all of these milestones that exist in business. Next, we're gonna go over the delivery. Now, delivery is basically just honoring the promises that your sales and marketing team have made to your customers. That's all it is. People wanna overcomplicate, you know, hey, I create this service or I make this product and it's gotta be great. The reality is you're just simply delivering something to somebody and you're honoring promises and basically keeping your word to your customers. And so in the delivery process, what you want to do is, number one, you've got to describe your product or service. Like, what are the benefits? What are the advantages of your customers using your product or service? What is going to happen in their world? What does that look like exactly? And then you have to align your entire delivery team around that benefit and feature. Meaning, if you provide a service for somebody, and in the entrepreneur's mind, this is what you want it to feel like and be like for that particular product or service, and then your customers go, I didn't actually feel that way, or I'm not really sure if that product delivered what I expected. So you want to describe it, and then you want to create feedback loops and a system for delivery. Now, the challenge around this is that people are like, well, I sell cars, so if they buy a car, that's a win. The reality is most people who sell cars never keep in contact with a customer. People on average buy a new car every 7 years, but most auto dealers don't keep in touch with that particular customer over that 7 years time span. So what you can do in the delivery portion is create systems of delivery that make a customer sticky, that keep them in your world. If you're a dealer, think about all the service opportunities that happen. Think about the oil changes, think about the cleanings, think about all the maintenance that has to happen, new tires. All of these things are opportunities for a business to deliver an amazing service or product to their end user and keep somebody in their world so that they come back in 7 years and buy another car from that business. And in the meantime, you can generate revenue from that customer. That's why most dealerships will have a service department and a parts department, because majority of the profits actually are driven from those service and part departments for an auto dealer. And I don't know why I'm using auto dealers, but I just popped in my head and I thought it was a good example. In the delivery thing, you're gonna be wanting to measure these feedback loops. Are we making promises to our customers, and then are the customers reporting back to us that we're actually keeping those promises and that we're delivering them on time? So think of this group as train systems. And when I say train systems, it means, are the trains on time? Are they showing up? Are they clean? Are there people in the seats of the train systems? Did we get to the destination that we expected to get to? These are all the questions that you want to ask. And in that world, what people tend to do is they invest heavily on the revenue systems when they're under $1 million in revenue, and then they cross $1 million and they forget to invest in the delivery. These are all your customer service people. These are all your manufacturing people. These are all the people that actually do the work inside the organization and keeps everything moving smoothly. And basically, they're the ones who honor and keep the promises of the founders or the CEOs or the leadership team. And so you want to really make sure that you're invested in delivering your product or service at a high level for your customers, and realize that once you cross $1 million in revenue, it's got to get reinvented. Once you get to 5 million, you're going to reinvent again, and at 10 million, you're going to reinvent again, all with the customer focus. You have to be hyper focused on what the customer experience. All that we're doing here is creating experiences for our customers and measuring, is this landing? Are my customers enjoying this? Do they like my product or service? Am I doing a good job? And most founders and leadership teams are clearly in the revenue section, and they fail to invest in great leadership, great communication systems, and great people on the delivery side, especially as they grow. They seem to invest in the revenue. When the revenue lands, then they invest in the delivery, and that is a backwards model. If you drive revenue, you need to equally invest in delivery at the same time. Make sure that your infrastructure is in place, your people are in place, and there's feedback loops coming back about your customer experience. Think all of this is just honoring the promises that the revenue team has made. Okay, infrastructure. I can't tell you how many times infrastructure is one of the more important things. Think of this as everybody in your team who is managing your IT, managing your finances, making sure the building is open on time, making sure that the manufacturing lines are running, making sure that all of the people who are keeping promises and making promises are effectively supported. You think HR, you think accounting, all of the glue. I like to call this as our glue within a business. This group will create systems and processes so that everybody else within the team can do their work. And here's the big thing, they're measuring. They're measuring not only money, but experience. So are the things things happening the way they're supposed to happen? And are we profitable? Are we making money? Are we growing revenue? Is our customer acquisition costs in line with our lifetime value of a client? And are we spending money in the appropriate places? These people are giving you budgets. They're helping you understand what the plan is and what your IT systems and structures are. Again, tends to be, as you're growing and scaling, I'm gonna spend a lot of money here, and when we land the business, I'm gonna invest here, and when we land the business, then I'm gonna invest here. And again, that's a mistake for a business. You wanna invest at increments that are appropriate for your revenue and delivery systems. These are the things that people fail to think through as they're creating breakthrough and driving scale and revenue inside their business. Typically, I'll talk with an entrepreneur and ask certain questions like, who's on your team? Who's delivering the product and services? What's your numbers in the sales and marketing space? What does your infrastructure look like? Most of the time, we can spot these small gaps within their people or their systems and processes that land in one of these three categories, and that's what's stopping them from having massive breakthrough within their business. Here's the thing, I've just gone over all of the systems in order to create breakthrough inside your business, but the reality is the real system is the leadership team. The people on your team have to be ruthlessly focused on the customers that you serve, the problems that you solve, the customer experience, and the systems and processes inside your business. And when I say ruthlessly, I mean no ego, no I did a good job here, I didn't do a good job there. You're creating feedback loops inside your business so you can have other people measure. It's a very human thing. Everybody wants to feel good about the hard work that they've done. But as a leader, a CEO, entrepreneur, your job is to collate all of the feedback loops. Customer experience is important? Great. What are the customers saying about your business? That's actually what your brand is. Most people think, oh, this branding message that we created, we paid this marketing agency and they came up with this huge thing and we're gonna put that on the front of our website and all of our social media and that's gonna be our brand. That's crap. That's not actually what your brand is. Your brand is what your customers say when you're not listening. It's what they say at a party about your business, your product, or your service. That's your brand. And as a CEO and a leader, you don't wanna ask your employees, hey, how you doing? They're gonna say, I'm doing amazing. What you wanna do is create feedback loops inside your business so you can ask the most important questions to your customers, to the marketplace, to your people, so that you can effectively third party know if you're growing and scaling your business. And breakthroughs are created because CEOs, leadership teams were ruthless. We want the information, we want non-biased answers, and we don't care about feeling good about how you're doing in business. We care about what our actual brand is, what our customers are saying behind our back at the party, to their colleagues, to their coworkers or friends. That's what we care about. And so if you want to create breakthrough in your business and have massive success, get ruthless with the people in your company and the messages that your customers are hearing from them and what they're saying about your business as you grow and scale. And this will create massive breakthroughs in your revenue and all the success that you absolutely deserve and wildly need in your life. We're talking about breakthrough, and the reality is it's not one thing. It's not your brand. It's not what your customers are saying. It also might not be, but it's very important, who's on your team and what they're doing and what's the system and process. The reality is none of this is scripted, meaning what you do in business is as unique as your thumbprint. And as an entrepreneur, you have to focus. One area that I like to look at is who's on your team and what are they doing. This is a massive area of opportunity for almost all businesses because it's very human to be comfortable with who's on your team and what they're doing. And the reality is if you want massive breakthrough, you've got to be uncomfortable all the time about who's on your team and what capacity they're at and what they're doing every day in terms of revenue and growth. You've got to consistently push people and your internal team and the external team to go after new opportunities and reinvent themselves. And that is one of the most important questions you can ask. Who's on my team today? How are they doing? What's the system and process? What's the training? And are they hitting the goals? These are the questions you have to ask. And right now is the perfect time to ask them. If you want help to do that, get a consultation with us. Jump on our website at myoutdesk.com. It's a completely free consultation, and we will walk through a step-by-step process where who's on your team, what's your systems and process, and what you need to do in order to grow and scale your business. There is no time like right now to completely transform your business and have breakthroughs in growing your revenue.